Okay, to be more exact, I opened up a copy of the template. You see where it says template 1? All I have to do is when I go ahead and save it as a template, just make sure I save it as the same name once I make my changes here, which I'll do that in a minute or two. So I wanted to take this one step further, is to be able to cross-reference these fields in my form when somebody types it in with a letter down below that we can print off and mail to the client. So for example, I've got Dear Who. Well, whatever is being typed up in the form, and it's all related to bookmarks. So as you recall, we're going to cross-reference here. If you watch the cross-reference training video, this will make sense. When you double-click on it, that's the name of my bookmark title. And when I come to my insert and go to bookmarks, I got them all listed here, right? Okay, and there's my title selected right there. So I can go ahead and cross-reference this and really make it slick here. I'm going to turn on my show hide codes here so I can find out how much spacing I have. Now do a cross-reference insert, click on cross-reference, and I want to select the bookmark. And by default I want the bookmark's text. So whatever the bookmark is, I want the text that's included in that field. And then come down in here, and this is going to be Dear What. We want their title first, right? And then come down in here, there's the title. Go ahead and click on Insert. Okay. Now by default it's pulling the current default up there, which is unknown because we haven't selected anything yet. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click here. I'm going to hit the space bar, and then I'm going to go list last name here, and then click on Insert. I don't want them together. If you have these cross references together, you may get erroneous errors, so I want to keep them separate. And you notice how it's in different font. I can change that later. That's not a big deal. Dreamforce looks forward to completing your video training request for, and the name of the software. So I'm going to click over here, and what was that field up above that we said there's software preference, there's software interest, and then click Insert. And you can see again it's whatever up there, it's pulling, and default right now is software interest. Remember, this is just a template. When somebody uses it, the receptionist, whoever's taking this person's order, when they type in, change it from software interest and type in Excel, it'll automatically pull right here. The estimated time for completion is, and I'll click in here, and select my ETA and click Insert, and then click Close. You can add their first name and their address right here. That's fine. I mean, you get the idea that all you're doing is cross-referencing here to the bookmarks you have up above and inserting the text with whatever's up above filled in the form. I can go ahead and select the text here, and I want it all Times New Roman, and hit the Tab key. So you can see that these fields are dynamic. They're going to change with whatever's up listed on the form, but actually it won't change unless I tell it to do something extra. What I mean by that is when I come up here to the form fields and I double click on one of the fields, do you see this little box, Calculate on Exit? It means that after somebody changes the field in here and exits it, hits the Tab key, it'll automatically calculate this and update the bookmarks, when I click OK, down on my letter page here. Because I don't want it to always say Dear Unknown. I want it to calculate with the new changes, be able to update that. So it's something I want to probably do on every field, or just the fields I want to pull in, like last name, calculate, ETA, double click, calculate. Oh, that's right, and software interest, double click and calculate, and then click OK. So scrolling back down here, we're almost done. And I'm going to do something different here. I'm going to type in some extra text. I'll quickly start typing it, and then I'll explain it to you once I'm done. Okay, so what I've done here is I typed in an extra sentence. The software you requested for video training on isn't common. Remember how we had that little checkbox, and I'm going to go ahead and turn off these codes here. Remember up at the top where we said, hey look, if this software isn't common, like if some medical billing software is not common here, where we select one, no it's not common, yes it is. Well, we want to be able to dynamically update this. So if somebody selects no it's not common, then automatically this text down below is going to be auto text and automatically inserted in here. If they select yes, it won't automatically populate. That's kind of cool, isn't it? Just based on the choices up above, you can add whole paragraphs or maybe even pages of documents. But first, before we do that, because I don't, again, want this appearing always, just whenever somebody selects that this isn't common software to address this to our client, I want to be able to select this and change it to auto text. So how you do this is, after I select it, I want to come up to the Insert tab, come over to Quick Parts, click on the Quick Parts, and then go ahead and save selection to my Quick Part Gallery. Now this is going to be the name of, so if it's like, you know, common, we'll underscore it and say software, common software. Now I don't want it Quick Parts, I want it as auto text. And then I can type in anything I want for the description, but I'm okay and I can click OK. Now it's saved as auto text. I can go ahead and delete this because, like I said, I don't want it to appear on every single page. Just only those times where the user or the receptionist front office person checks if the person is choosing some sort of software that's not common. Now, the sky's the limit here as far as what you can do. In other words, if I scroll up to the top, I can also base it on a text box. If somebody types in CA for California and hits tab, maybe I could add sales tax or something where a paragraph comes down in here and says, look, we're going to have to charge you sales tax. So it's not just drop-down fields, okay? Now, this is all contingent upon an if-then statement. If somebody selects this or types this and on exit of that field, and by the way, we want to make sure that we have this that calculates on exits. When we double click, make sure we check the box calculate on exit. And also the bookmarks drop down 1. I'm not going to be able to identify that bookmark. Let me type in common software and update that and click OK. Alright, I'm going to scroll down here, click at the end of my document, basically the end, hit the spacebar a couple of times. Okay, so this is basically an if-then function. It's going to require some coding that we put in here, again, if-then. And to do so, we're going to stay on our Insert tab, come over here to the text group, click on Quick Parts, and we want to go to our fields. We got all our fields listed here, but we want, and we're looking for our if, select it, and then go ahead and click OK. And it's going to give you a little error here because we haven't set this up yet. We're just beginning here. So if you'll be patient with me, I'll show you how to do it. It may take a little bit to set it up. If you do a lot of this and you think it'll be helpful, one-time setup could save you a lot of time. In fact, for us to continue on with this, we need to actually look at the coding here. Now, that's not going to work by coming to your Home tab and clicking on the Show Hide Codes. You won't be able to see that. What you want to do is hold down the Alt key and then you can see the codes here. It's referencing the title up here. So anybody who selects the title up above, Mr. or Mrs. automatically pulls down, last name, the coding. So what we want to do is we want to take a look at the if code, which we just started. And that's why it gave us the error, because we haven't finished with it yet. We need to give it an if-then statement. If you're familiar with Microsoft Excel or even Access, on the function, the if function, where you have to have a logical test, and if it meets the test, then do this. If it doesn't, then do that. So we're saying, look, if you meet the test of it's not common software, then go ahead and pull in this auto text. And that's what we have to come in here is to pull it in or leave it blank and not pull it in. And all it's going to do is that when it does pull it in, it'll push the text down. So if I have my signature down below, Sincerity Kurt Kershaw down below here, you know, and then hit enter a couple of times, it'll just push this down when it adds it. But if there's nothing to add, it's still equal spacing between that and the paragraph, and it still looks nice. But we'll continue on. What I want to do is I want to click before that / because I need to enter in 2 more fields. My first field is going to be, I need to reference the common field, so it's saying if what? Well, if my common field is what I need to insert right now. Don't type this in. If you try typing this in and say, hey, I can do this on the keyboard, I can just hold down my Shift key and do that little squiggly there, forget it, it's not working. It has to be a dynamic field that you insert from Microsoft here, what's available. Don't type it in, it won't work for you. So I'm going to click before that first / and say if, before we actually do a merge format, I want you to check something out to me. I want to check that bookmark common, okay? So I'm going to go back up to my quick parts, go down to my field, I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom, or close to the bottom, and go ahead and select reference. And remember all the bookmarks that we had in here? Well, the one that we want to compare it against is the common software, right? And then just go ahead and click OK. And it adds that dynamic field within the if function. Like I said, this may be going beyond what you know, but if you're familiar with Excel, it's fantastic. Like I said, if this gets a little bit confusing, it makes a little bit more sense to me because I learned the language of Excel. Now, the only thing it didn't add was the merge format field right here, and I want to add that. So I can just go ahead and, well, I'm going to select it up here because it allows me to not select the bracket where I go ahead and I click and drag over here. It selects the whole bracket. I don't want to do that. Just want to go ahead and click and drag, select the merge format to this point, copy it, and then come down in here and hit the space bar and Control V as in Victor to paste it. So let me go ahead and see if I can explain this here. We got our if function. If the reference, it's looking, if this reference going to the bookmark common software, which is again up here, and you won't be able to see it because I have the Alt F9 selected for my code reveal. But if this common software, and it references it, it wants to merge it right here. But if it's what? If it's yes or if it's no, that's what we want to define. So the next thing I want to do is I want to come over and click after it, hit the space bar, hold down the Shift key, hit equals, and then the space bar, and open quotes, no, close quotes, and then hit the space bar. Now if I take that one step further, and I open a quote, and I type in, I don't know, Bobby, and close it, what's going to happen is that it's going to say, okay, if the logical test equals no, then go ahead and pull in the text Bobby. But that's not what it's about. I want to pull in the auto text, which is common software. You remember that we created that. But you could go ahead and type in this text. So in other words, if the test is true that the common software equals no, then do this. Pull this text in. So I need a little bit of help from Microsoft. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and delete this, okay? And then I'm going to go ahead and insert the final field in here. As you recall, it was our auto text. Want to go to Insert, to Quick Parts, to the field, and down below there's auto text. And you recall what it was? I mean, we got a lot of information in here. Common software, and then click OK. And it automatically adds that common software field here, and my cursor's just at the end of it. Now this is the auto text I want it to reveal, so I need to also, after I add the code, make sure I put it within quotes. So I'm putting the quotes around the auto text. In fact, if you click and drag, you see how it selects automatically everything there? So you know that the code includes everything here. It's open quotes. I'm going to go ahead and close quotes, hit the space bar, open quotes, and then close quotes, and then hit the space bar. We're finished. And let me explain what I just did here. So it's saying the logical test, if this reference that it's looking at, the common software, and it's got its merge format equals no, and that's in quotes, it actually sees no, then I want to go ahead and add the auto text common software. Go ahead and pull the merge, the auto text in here. If it doesn't equal no, those quotes that are slammed together, it pulls nothing. I mean, I could add a space, I can type in great savings, you know what I'm saying? But since there's nothing else to expand upon this, we just want to charge them. If it's not common software, then why say anything? Just go ahead and leave the quotes closed. Okay, one more time. We inserted our if field, and then within the if field we inserted our reference code, and we want to reference on the bookmark common software. And it's saying, look, if, and this is the first logical test that comes all the way over here, we had to actually add the equals. If it equals no, then go ahead and add the auto text, which we put in quotes. And these merge format just means would you merge the text, the auto text called common software? Because if the test was true and the user up on page 1 selected yes, then obviously it's not a true statement. Does the common software reference equals no? If it says yes, then what does it do? It skips the auto text merge, and it comes right to the blank quotes here and just says don't put anything in there. Now let's go ahead and take this for a test drive. I want to turn this off, hit Alt F9, and if you still get error code missing test condition, that's okay. Just go ahead and right click and update the field and it disappears, and then you're good to go. Okay, let's take this whole thing for a test drive. Right now it's pulling in these unknown name fields. Right now we have this coding set up, an if function depending on if this is common software. So what I want to do is I want to lock this right now. So I'm going to go to my developer tab, protect the document, restrict formatting and editing, and say yes enforce. No password. Again, I'm testing here before I actually save this as a template. Now the title was 1, okay? That pulls down in my fields down below that we were cross-referenced to. So if I select Mr. and hit the tab key, I'll skip first name because we already know how to do that. I type in Kershaw because that's one of the fields we're cross-referencing down in my letter down at the bottom. Remember, on exit, so I have to hit the tab key for it to update. And then the software interest, I'll just come down in here and select the text here and just say we want Excel 2007. Be sure to hit the tab key so it can update. And then also the common interest. Also the ETA, we can click on it and say, 2 months, hit the tab key. Remember, I'm just choosing the fields that we've referenced down in our letter because we've already on how to fill out this form. And remember, if I select this isn't common software and hit the tab key, it should update everything down below. Let's take a look and scroll down. Oh my goodness, isn't that so cool? Dear Mr. Kershaw, Dreamforce looks forward to completing your video training request for Excel 2007. I may need to bump my little period back. It's a little bit too far, but that's okay. I can make changes. Estimated time for completion, it's referencing the ETA. 2 months. Maybe want to give it plural here. And then it comes to the end and it automatically adds beautifully the software you requested for the video training on isn't common industry software and will affect the pricing. Now, what happens if I go back and I make some changes? I say, well, yes it is. And I hit now be sure to hit that tab key so we can exit and calculate it. The text should disappear. See how beautiful that is, how it automatically adds it and takes it away on the fly. So I think this is great for production. We're ready to go ahead and roll it out. So I want to go ahead and stop protection, and then of course come up here and reset the formats here, reset the form fields, because up at the top You know, I don't want it to say the unknown and everything like that. And down at the bottom, of course, it's remembering what I did before because I wasn't able to reset this. But, you know, it calculates on exit. So if I go ahead and enforce this protection and click OK and then hit Tab all the way through. Come on, everybody, calculate on exit. So we go down. There it is. So there's the defaults there. And I guess it wouldn't matter in any case, but I'll stop the protection. Okay, so now I'm ready to clean this up. One more thing here, or a couple more things. Alt F9 to reveal the codes. You can go ahead and add as many if statements as you want. If you do it once, then what you can do is Control C to copy it. After you select it, hit the spacebar, Control V, and you can just keep going nuts. Just keep in mind though, we're dealing with coding. So what that means is that if I want to copy and paste and then make some subtle changes here in the software, so it's just referencing instead of the bookmark common software, I could delete that, maybe change it to another bookmark or a checkbox up at the top. The other thing is that you want to make sure that even though there are some things we can change, like for example, we added the conditions, if it's no, we put in quotes. Then if we need to make changes where we're no longer referencing, instead of common software, maybe we're referencing the user's first name or last name and things like that. Make those subtle changes, but overall you want to insert those fields that I was just talking about, the if field, for your function, if then, what you're referencing, the bookmark, make sure you insert that field, and then also, after you insert it, you can type in the merge format field, that's fine. I'll give you leeway on that. But then if you use auto text, make sure you insert the auto text field. Otherwise, you don't have to use auto text, you can just delete that and just type in whatever you want in quotes. And it won't insert it until actually it meets one of the conditions up above. That's the whole point of the if then. Another thing you want to keep an eye on to really tell if you're doing it right, when you click and drag, you see how it automatically selects those fields? And I click and drag and automatically selects that field. That tells me that field is inserted on the whole. I've used it for Microsoft. But if I come in down in here and I start typing my own thing and typing in my own coding and then seeing I can make it bold down here, again, I'm overemphasizing to making a point. When I select it, it doesn't select the whole field. It's not a dynamic field, a built-in field that Microsoft recognizes, so it's not going to pull that information automatically for you. So when I'm finished, I can go ahead and click, delete it, and then hit Alt F9. Even though all the coding's there, if I have them referenced all these different fields up here, like if it's first name, go ahead and do a big, huge greeting. If they leave it this address or in this state, go ahead and add the paragraph, sales tax. If it's common, we already have a paragraph for that if it's not common. And you can just have it stack and stack all the way down the coding to page 3, 4, and 5. However, depending on what they select depends on what's inserted on your if function for your fields there. So when I'm finished, I want to make sure that I go ahead and I enforce it. I type in a password, click OK. I close out of it. Now I want to go ahead and save this as a template, Word to save as, Word template. And then I can just double click to overwrite that template, replace it, close out, open up Word again, blank Word, Office logo to new. And then go to My Templates, and it's right there to double click on to fill it out, be happy with it, and anybody can start using your template here without overwriting the original. Thanks for watching. Hey, as a quick reminder, if you like my video, please give it a thumbs up. You can also click on me and subscribe to my channel, get notified of the latest videos, and for only $2 a month, you can have access to all my Microsoft Office training videos.